This is a quick overview of your epidemiology risk analysis matrix assignment. So I do want to be very upfront. Please do use the matrix form to complete your assignment. This is not a paper. This is a document that you'll be putting the pieces together to do your analysis. So you've had a little bit of practice doing that in Nursing 730, and we're going to take some of those same concepts as we're doing your risk analysis. So we are going to really look at the data that's out there, and you want to choose data that's pertinent to your particular area of practice, your area of interest, or the population of focus, whether that would be your geography. It may be those that are served within an organization, or it may be nurses, or it may be students, or a combination thereof. So really kind of take a look at where you practice, what your areas of interest are, and really dive into the data that's appropriate for that particular population so that you can find the most valid and reliable data to make your decisions. So this really is the basis for your project design. So really look at having that solid foundation to build your project upon. So we're going to look very broad as far as an overview of the data that's out there, and then dive into a more specific or focused analysis. Does this sound familiar? Into some of the very appropriate data that may be there within an organization or a particular area of focus in a very specific population or an organization that serves a very specific population. So as we take a look at the rubric itself, it's relatively detailed, and just know that the matrix form actually has the key components of the rubric on the matrix itself to help you to formulate your document. So we're going to look at the key data, and again, it really is impingent upon what your area of focus is as far as the data that you actually gather, but you want to get that very broad focus so that you can look at the big picture as well as diving into the more detailed information that will help inform your project. So that's where we get into the focus data. So you're going to compare and contrast the broad and the focused data. You're going to identify if there's gaps in the data, and very often there is. So that's very appropriate to address as well. And incorporate pertinent findings from your interview and your windshield survey as well. And I do want to really emphasize that it really needs to be the pertinent data, so what's appropriate for your particular epidemiology at-risk assessment. So then you're going to really analyze the data to start looking at how you're going to prioritize for your project. So you're going to, again, do those very broad considerations. What will really work? What's congruent with the mission, vision, and goals of the organization or the area of practice, and you're going to have to dive into the feasibility of the priority as well. So sometimes we have these wonderful ideas and these things that may really work, but they may or may not be feasible, and that's the key for population health improvement. We need to be very frugal and conscious of what kind of resources we have to actually implement population health initiatives. And too often there are issues as far as sustainability of particular initiatives. So again, that's something to really consider. Back to epidemiology again. We want to make sure that we're applying an effective evidence-based practice based on what our resources are. So those are considerations as well. So you're going to look at data that's very specific to the priority that you've established. So you really want to dive deep then once you have your priority established into what that priority truly encompasses so that you can be very focused as you design your project. So you're going to want to dive into the literature about your area of focus. You're going to want to take a look at Healthy People 2020. And you're also going to look at those social determinants of health, because we can't just address an issue. We have to look at those causative factors and ask those critical questions why those factors occur, or that health issue occurs, or the area of improvement occurs. And we really need to dive into what really triggers those ultimate events, meaning the social determinants of health. So you're really going to take a look at that. And again, we're flipping way back to epidemiology when we looked at our web of causation. So we really need to know what we're dealing with when we make really effective plans for population health. And with that being said, you will reflect on the experience, and as always, make sure that you cite your resources. This is not a paper. But you do need to cite where you have gotten your statistics, those types of things. And then on the matrix itself, there is a prompt for you to list your reference list. So you will do that as well. But you also need to cite, much like you do in the text of a paper, your in-text citations, meaning in parentheses or in the context of what you're stating in your particular matrix. So if you have any questions or concerns about proceeding with this particular assignment, please let me know. Again, this is very foundational in your next assignment, and we're gathering the information that we've done so far in the course to integrate in this assignment. So we're doing those building blocks. So take care and let me know if you need anything.